Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a pretty wild reality. We're taking a look at something that's probably sitting right there in your house, or maybe your office, right this very second. We buy these devices to protect our physical spaces, right? But what if those exact security cameras are actually compromising them instead? Let's get into it. We're unmasking the hidden spy. Think about it. You buy a camera, you point it at your front door, your living room, maybe your server room, and boom, you feel secure. You naturally assume the camera is protecting you, but I want you to ask yourself, is the device protecting you actually watching you? The frankly terrifying reality of modern internet-connected devices is that, sometimes it is watching you. Or more accurately, it's letting a complete stranger watch you.
And look, we aren't just talking about a couple of isolated, unlucky glitches here. Millions, literally millions of cameras globally are secretly controlled every single day. Hackers are routinely invading living rooms, factory floors, transportation systems, and yes, even baby nurseries. They're watching these feeds live. And honestly, the scariest part is that a huge chunk of these cameras are left completely unprotected by the very people who bought them.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the camera's true identity. Second, why are they easily hacked? Third, how hackers find you. Fourth, terrifying consequences of intrusion. And finally, 4 moves to protect devices.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the camera's true identity, the Trojan horse in your network. We really need to burst a common bubble right off the bat. A lot of folks think a surveillance camera is just a passive piece of hardware, just a lens recording video. But modern IP cameras, they're basically full-blown computers. They run full Linux operating systems, they have their own CPUs and RAM, they even host mini web servers so you can log into them, they're managing network services, allowing remote logins, and talking to cloud storage and mobile apps. So the main takeaway here is this: if it's a computer and it connects to the internet, a hacker has a way to attack it. It's an IoT device that is just as vulnerable as the laptop sitting on your desk.
Moving on to Section 2, why are they easily hacked? The open doors. You want to know the absolute most common reason these devices fall into the wrong hands? It's incredibly simple. Factory default passwords. Manufacturers ship these cameras with brilliant, top-tier credentials like admin and admin, or root and root, or my personal favorite, the impenetrable fortress that is 123456. And an enormous number of people just plug them in and literally never change those passwords. So how long does it take to hack? Seconds. A hacker doesn't have to write some complex, genius algorithm to break into your house. They just type the word admin twice, and they are in. But hey, it's not completely on the users. The market is absolutely flooded with low-cost camera brands that aggressively cut corners to keep prices down. They don't have dedicated security teams. They basically never release firmware updates. That means if a remote code execution vulnerability gets discovered, it just stays unpatched forever. Even worse, tons of these devices use super weak encryption, transmit your data in plain text, or don't even bother with basic HTTPS protocols. It's literally a security nightmare built right on the factory assembly line. And all this negligence sets up a massive clash between what you want to do and what actually happens. Think about it. Your intention is simple. You want to check your home camera from your smartphone while you're at work, right? So to make that work, you might set up something called port forwarding on your router. But doing that instantly creates a massive hacker opportunity. You're taking internal network ports like TCP/80 for the web interface or port 554 for the video stream, and you're exposing them directly to the entire internet. You've essentially taken that vulnerable, unpatched device and hung it outside your network firewall for anyone on the planet to stumble across.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, how hackers find you. Search engines of the doom.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, but the internet is massive. How would a hacker ever find my specific camera in my specific house? The thing is, they don't need to know who you are. They use automated search engines built specifically for the Internet of Things, platforms like Showdown or Census. These engines constantly scan the entire global internet. They catalog IP addresses, open ports, web banners, even camera model numbers. All a hacker has to do is type webcam into the search bar. Instantly, the engine spits out thousands of exposed cameras. Sometimes, these tools even show a live preview thumbnail of the camera feed right in the search results. They don't have to look for you. The software finds you automatically.
Okay, Section 4, terrifying consequences of intrusion. Escalation of threat. The fallout here goes way beyond what you might initially expect. The most immediate risk? A total loss of privacy. Hackers get a front-row seat to your home, they learn your daily routines, and they figure out exactly when the house is empty. There are even documented truly horrific cases of hackers taking over baby monitors just to talk to children in their cribs. But it doesn't stop there. It escalates.
They don't just want to watch you, they want to weaponize your camera. They'll infect it with malware and enslave it into a giant botnet. You might remember the Mirai botnet. It infected hundreds of thousands of cameras with weak passwords and used them to launch massive distributed denial of service attacks that actually crippled major websites. Plus, since these things run Linux, hackers can secretly install software to mine cryptocurrency, maxing out your camera's CPU to make themselves a profit, while you don't suspect a thing.
And if you're running a business, the threat multiplies. A lot of IT setups think, it's just a camera, so they plug it directly into their main corporate network. Huge mistake. Because when a hacker breaches that camera, it becomes a stepping stone. They use the camera's Linux OS to move laterally across your network. Suddenly, they're targeting your network-attached storage, your core servers, Active Directory, and highly sensitive databases. That cheap $80 camera in the hallway just became the weak link that takes down the entire corporate intranet.
Let's talk solutions. Section 5. 4 moves to protect devices, reclaiming your security.
Here's your must-do checklist to lock things down. Step 1. Change those factory passwords right now. We're talking 12 characters minimum, mixed upper and lowercase, and throw some symbols in there. Step 2. Absolutely no port forwarding. Never expose your camera straight to the internet. If you really need remote access, use a secure VPN or a zero-trust architecture. Step 3. Update your firmware. Manufacturers actually do patch some of these flaws, but that only helps if you take the time to install the update. And step 4, for corporate networks or even a good home lab setup, you've got to use network isolation. Put your cameras on a completely separate VLAN, use access control lists, and absolutely forbid those cameras from ever communicating with your core network.
Because here's the tough love takeaway of this whole explainer. It's usually not some master hacker cracking into your life. It's you connecting a highly vulnerable lens directly to the internet. We buy these cameras to keep us safe, but if we don't configure them right, they instantly become our biggest liability. This isn't usually about bypassing military-grade encryption. It's just us leaving the digital front door wide open by plugging an unsecured device straight into the web.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Picture the cameras in your home or at your office right now. Does your camera still use its default password? Do you actually know for sure if it's currently exposed to the internet? Don't wait until you're part of a botnet to find out. Go check your settings today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and stay secure out there.